Hey everyone, Michael Anthony here. Van Halen, Chickenfoot, Sammy in the Circle. But anyway, you're listening to the only podcast that is dedicated to breaking down the entire Van Halen catalog one track at a time. And the podcast will rock. Ow!
Hello, baby!
What's up, all you rockers and rockettes and everything in between? Welcome back to a new edition of And the Podcast Will Rock. That is right. We are the show that dives into the catalog and discography of one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time, Van Halen. And we do it one track at a time. You know the drill if you've been here before, and if you haven't, welcome. I am your co-host, Mark Kamira. With me, as always, Corey Morissette. Corey, how are we feeling? Are we feeling rockish or are we feeling power ballady?
Oh, I tell you, we got some tremendous news in the world of Van Halen this morning. Ryan Powell was the first one to break it for me. I'll save it for the news segment, but it made me deliriously happy. And actually in Canada, I think it might be getting released right around my anniversary. So I've already put the hint in to my wife, but of course we'll talk more about that. But needless to say, a couple of big Van Halen things happening today. And we're being joined by one of our favorite guests, and we're going to go deep into some stats tonight, and I'm really looking forward to that. Why don't you introduce our very special guest?
You've seen him in the chat or the Twitter feed, likely. Very vocal, very opinionated. Sometimes those opinions clash with my own, and that's okay. We encourage that. But I'm sure he will not rest until I finally give credit where credit is due on Van Halen 3. That day will never happen, but he's going to try his damnedest, I'm sure. Welcome to the show, our patron and our loyal listener, Chaz. Chaz, how you doing, sir?
Hey, guys. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, man, I'm doing well, thanks. Great to be here. Great
Always
to be here. And yeah,
time.
you know, I think I've given up on the Van Halen 3 thing, you know. After having spent so much time with your data, I'm convinced beyond the shadow, it does not deserve any of the, it's like other types of works that I've endeavored to listen to. It's of that same category where there's effort involved. You really have to approach it as this was a statement, this was a period in time, and you really have to sit down with it. You have to work at it, and you have to in other words, you don't rock with something like that. So no, I think I'm done. I think I'm out on that argument. Well, I'm tapping out, man. I give.
He's tapping out of the argument, but he mentioned something interesting. He spent a lot of time with analyticals. Chaz, if I'm not mistaken, man, you've got something you're ready to share with everybody in terms of the analyticals of our show. You want to go ahead and dive into what's going on with that?
I do, yes. I'll bring you my flavor of what I'm calling now Chazalytics. As we were lurking around in the Discord earlier, I gave what was it, a Chaz Mephisto. So I'm running with it. You guys have inspired everything I've done. So, and being somebody with a marketing background as well, I would say that, the best ideas have already been, taken. So just, steal from the best. So that's what I do. Sure. All credit to you guys. So what we've got here, you guys did your show a few weeks ago and you had your spreadsheet. I was in the feed and I watched. I was lurking. And I saw the spreadsheet and I said, hey, Corey, give me that spreadsheet, man. In my day job out in the world, I work in data and analytics. So data science, data analytics, data visualization, data storytelling, kind of my wheelhouse. And so I was like, you know what? I can jazz up the podcast Will Rock Data. And so we've got a couple things to look at real quickly here. This one is a story, and it's done using a technology called Flourish, and it's a data storytelling tool. But what I've done is basically taken your spreadsheet and all that data. And the first thing I did was I kind of cleaned it up. It was a little dirty, as we talked about last week or so. We were talking about the categorization, right? What songs are boogies, what songs are swing, what's heavy metal, things like that. So we cleaned up the data first, and then I actually enriched it. I added some stuff to it. So I went out and got, our IAA rankings. Like, we added a column in your spreadsheet to say, was this a single or not, right? Because once you've got all that data about how people voted, right? Did they vote things up in terms of, what dreams are made of at the end of the show, right? Or is this dream over? Did they vote it down? Once you've got these, kind of binary statistics, is it, good or bad, right? Or, yes or no, you can enrich that data and do a bunch of other things and start making inferences and start talking about this data in a way that perhaps we hadn't before. So what I did was I jazzed it up a little bit using these tools. The first one we're looking at here on the screen is called Flourish. And this is just a visual story. Our first visualization here is basically looking at all the album covers. And what we have is a ranking, guys. So this is a ranking of how how the albums are in fact stacked versus how people have been voting. So in order from left to right, I've got this slider here. I'm just going to grab it and move over so you can see our first is 1984, first album 1984. The score what dreams are made of is up at 91.6 on average for the entire record. And that's what we did with some of the stats, right? We went ahead and made aggregations and created some averages and, smoothed the data out and started looking at it, more statistical means, right? And you guys do this on the fly every week. Corey's always diving into the spreadsheet. You guys are always asking questions like, how many do we have left? Have we done that yet? What did we do, right? You're always using your data. So now hopefully this will be a little easier in that you can come to the first tab in this story and you can just start scrolling through and it's in order. And yep, apologies to Gary. He's there at the end, Van Halen 3. What Dreams Are Made Of score of 44.8. And that's with This Dream Is Over score. And that's like the other big, piece of this story, right? So you have these really strong, scores for all the other records on What Dreams Are Made Of. But there's an equally, interesting story in the strength of or the weakness of the score that is This Dream Is Over, because that is the way people vote every week, right? So this is cool because we've got then, both ways to look at it. So we also wanted to comprehend too that we're not done yet, right? This is like a horse race, right? There's at this point, as we know, 50% complete on Mark's favorite record. And, as he was articulating last week, that'll be a happy couple of weeks when you're hitting Sammy every one in a row. Going out in a big fuck show, right? So that's what he's looking
for that album, especially. Yes,
right, exactly. So yeah, but here you go. I mean, balance, right? Another one where you guys are, you've made comments, and so we won't bias the audience, but obviously you got a lot left to go. And on some of these other records, even the ones that are the Goldilocks records here in terms of color coding, everything that's gold here is Dave. And, and again, this is in order left to right. So you can see it doesn't take a data scientist to tell you that you've got, Dave here. And if you click on these colors, guys, actually, it'll just give you Dave's records. And you can kind of go to your scroll and kind of go down. So you can kind of do that. And you can kind of isolate that. You can isolate Sammy. So then Sammy's will come in. So at a glance, real quick, you can get, what the fuck is that?
It should be pointed out in our a few of our lurkers are looking at this graph and they're noticing that 5150 is below some other albums and they are saying people are insane. It's important to note that while 5150 might be on the low side, according to this graph, we're not done with it. It's only 77.8% complete, which
there you go.
We could see by the time we're done with the whole album, and I know we've covered 5150, the song, but by the time we're done with the whole album, that number could skyrocket or it could just plummet. We don't know. They're saying people are insane just because some of the other albums are above it, and that might be true. But again, it's based on the votes, you guys. And Balance, we're not even halfway through Balance, so that's why Balance is sort of ahead of 5150 at the moment. So it's just patience is all I'm saying. Wait for the voting to go full in effect until we finish these albums, and then we can decide if people are insane.
Exactly. And then, do you have any questions like, did we do the song yet or not? What were the votes? How did Mark vote? How did Corey vote? Come out to tab 10 and just type in anything up here in the search. This is a really robust search. So it starts out blank, but, go ahead, use my hand. I won't look. You can go ahead and type in anything here, whether it's a song, whether it's, an album, whether it's a musical style, whether it's, you can just type in Gary and you start, typing, and there you go. Everything we've done and everything
look at we have it. Black.
So
you just type in Gary.
Yeah, exactly. And so look at your color key. Right there, you go. So you guys clearly know how to use your analytics. So that's at tab 10. So I'm going to power back to 1 where we were. So again, you get the idea what we're doing there. Now we've got some other stuff that you might want to, watch what you're imbibing in before you start messing around with the filters on this one. But this one is what I call the twig and berries. But now this is essentially looking at everyone that you guys have done to date, right? So every song that you've reviewed by album, what the dreams are made of up here in what I call the berries. And then you got the twigs down here. This dream is over. You hover over this stuff, you'll get the statistics on the individual songs. And looking at
oh my god!
So yeah,
I know the listeners can't see what we're looking at right now, but let's just say, like, for Gary's section, there's the color of red is the dream is over, and we're just looking at a block of red.
Yeah, and so
go check out the episode on YouTube. You'll be able to see all the graphs on the YouTube version.
It's all there, you guys.
So you can look at all vocalists this way. So again, that's the twig and berries. This one's just fun. This is the wheel. You can go take a look. The bigger the slice, the bigger the score. And I did this one color coding just to kind of, draw it out. Look at that. So far, based on what you've reviewed, those are the scores, and that's a big black wheel at the moment. So again, keep in mind that you've got a bunch of albums in state. You're how many shows you got left on this?
There might be a
32.
Quiz afterwards, Scott.
Okay, so there you go. Right? Yeah. So bookmark now. And but anyway, this next one here.
Yes,
this one.
Scott brings up
said
a great
Inside
point.
killed 5150's album, and he said it's amazing how one bad song can tank a percentage, and he's right.
Yep, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one you can come out here and take a look at. Mark, we were looking at this one last night, and you were like, I don't know about the circles on that stuff.
Okay, it did not look like what I'm looking at right now. It did not look like that.
So there was a transformation.
Yeah, there were just okay. Thank you, because those circles, I was like, I don't understand what I'm looking at right now.
And that's it, right? So good analytics is supposed to be at a glance. You get it, right? So this one's supposed to show the concentration pretty clearly here, right? The lower the this dream is over score, the higher the score for what dreams are made of, it's going to cluster, and that's exactly what's happening. So again, Goldilocks is hogging the primary quadrant up there, but we're not done. Look at the bottom though there. Now what you got, this is more than just the studio albums. I took also the tracks from the compilations. And I noticed today, thanks to the news, that Humans Being wasn't in the list. So we'll add that there too, because you haven't done it yet. But that down there at the very bottom, that's the best stuff. And that's Sammy. So it's real interesting. And so you want to dive in deeper when you get questions on that stuff. It's where you come out here. You can take a look at it, and you can look at their scores by vocalist. And this is kind of a spectrum now, looking at how have the songs that you've listened to, how are they performing by category, right? So this is why I was saying the categorization is important. So what you have on the y-axis or on the rail, right, is the musical style. And then across the bottom, it's what the score was, and you have color coding for each of the artists. But look at the clustering in the, look at it like a football field, or look at it between 80 and 100, and particularly 90 and 100. Look at the concentration. First of all, everything on the left side of this graph, guys, what color is it?
I mean, it is black, which is
who is it?
David Lee Roth.
There you go. And that's exactly it. Let me get Sammy out of there. Let me get Gary out of there. That's Dave's spread. So, clearly the popularity of Dave, if nothing else, guys, and you can see there's a narrative in the dashboard, right? I've written a story that goes along with this. But the bottom line is, as you interact with the data, it becomes very apparent that, right, this is at this point, given everything we've listened to, percentages of albums, Dave is crushing it. You need some time to have the other guys come along, but Dave's crushing it by such a wide margin that I don't know that the gaps that we see can be closed, right? Because here's the other half of that. The graphs switch, and we look at, the scores for This Dream Is Over. Again, by artist, and you can see, who's more favored here to the left. And certainly, again, apologies.
What I'm getting is this was a graph that Chaz wanted to show us. I guess why he believes and why everyone else believes that Dave is the superior vocalist based on this graph, because that's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing is like, okay, you see how well we voted for Dave versus Sammy, and I feel like this is all just a ploy to get to point fingers at Mark and be like, ha ha, told you were wrong, motherfucker. And it's like, okay.
Not yet, no. I keep saying that. Sammy, look, so you're going to see more red dots appear on this graph. But what we're inferring is the trend so far is that Dave's highs are so much higher than Sammy's highs at this point, guys.
Right. Yeah.
Unless we're talking, unless you're like the firm believer that, nope, Sammy's 10s out of 10s are in this, and, he's not there yet, and he's going to come back. That could happen. So this is where the analytics start to become fun, right? As we start to build incrementally every week, the story will continue to change and evolve.
The further we go along, it will be fun or it'll be miserable. I'm not sure, because one of the main reasons why, and this is just a fact, the main reason why Dave is really leading the charge on these graphs is because we've reviewed more Dave songs.
Oh,
that's just the spin of the wheel. There's that. And then unfortunately a lot, or not a lot, but there's a steady few of Sammy's songs that we've done that have been not the best. So right away, that's just going to, kill the average right away, in terms of voting for yay versus nay.
Yeah,
it's true. And it'll be really interesting the further we go along when we start spinning a lot more Sammy, because Dave's running out. I might even predict we run out of Dave tunes before Sammy at this point. But it's going to be really interesting when we start really diving into more Sammys than the Dave songs, because at the moment we've spun more Dave than anybody, and that makes sense because Dave's been on more albums, right? He's
3 more albums.
Yeah. So there you go. So that's just naturally going to happen. So by the end of this, I'm pretty sure when this is all said and done that Dave will be the guy raising his hand in victory as far as these polls go, and as far as like who won the charge and everybody's I mean there is a bias for sure, and we've talked about that, but I mean just logistically the way the voting has turned out and where we're at right now, it's going to be Dave's game. Like Dave's going to take this one, probably
Scott,
maybe not leaps and bounds, but he's going to take it.
Scott Everett brings up something interesting, though. It would be interesting to see it weighted without Inside on 5150 and without Apolitical Blues on OU812. Because those are the two that are going to kind of bring those albums down, right?
Yeah, we can mess around with all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So here's an interesting chart. So Mark's Dream's Over. Look at this. So you've downvoted 4 Dave songs, 7 apologies to our friend.
This is just my analytics.
This is just yours.
Yep.
That's you. And then here's Corey. So Corey, clear bias there, as we know.
A little bit.
Maybe. Might be declared, but here we go. Here's where Mark's dreams are made of this. Look at this.
Look at all of that.
Look at how much you like Dave. Now let me point this out. Yeah, look at that. Very lopsided.
Well,
Again, right? We know there's a volume there. We know there's
once
a volume
again,
there.
we have gone over more Dave songs, and fortunately,
I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it to you, man. But look at the distribution here. You guys are practically neck and neck with the way you're voting.
Look at that.
So look at that. So for all this idea that you guys are so far apart, you're not. Not really.
We're not.
At the end of the day. And that's what this shows us. So this one's really cool. We've got another dashboard, but guys, I don't know. Do you want me to go into the other one now, or we can do that maybe another time? There's another dashboard that's a Tableau dashboard. That is, again, what we looked at here, this is a data visualization tool called Flourish. That's what we were looking at there. There's another tool that I use, copy, let's come out here. It's called Tableau, and it does more of your standard kind of dashboard. Anybody that's got a job where you got to access your key performance indicators and look at your metrics and, understand any kind of sales pipelines, or, you got your dashboards you got to check in on. Tableau is what you're looking at on the screen now. And again, from your same spreadsheet, all the same data. I might be a week behind on this one, because I think I finished this one, and then you did your show last week, and I think I updated the story, and I haven't gone back to this yet. But I will update it nonetheless. As you can see, just a different take on the same things. You can come out here and select this filter, what dreams are made of, or the dream is over, and it's coming in and it's kind of looking at it, and it's increasing the size of your balls based on how well they scored. So where there's, what dreams are made of, as you would expect, like we saw with the other data, right? So it's all favoring Dave right now. But this one is going to give you, on an ongoing basis, what are the top 5 that have been voted up. And the reason why there's no color differentiation here, or why I went with like a bumblebee color scheme on this one, was that these are all Dave songs. So the top 5, I brought the scores in. But the top 5 songs that have been voted, are Little Guitars through DOA. And then your albums by their dream state, the dreams, selecting that filter here puts them in order. The size is relative to the strength of the average What Dreams Are Made Of score. And then you'll have the inverse when you select the filter up there. As you can see, our friend Gary takes over the number 1 spot. Yeah. So you got this one, and then there's some nuance again when we kind of look at this. This was really kind of just putting this. If there are those among us that are more spreadsheets, or just kind of give me the numbers inclined. So it did just a quick ranking here, just with the strength of the What Dreams Are Made Of scores. So favoring more of the positive stuff, not focusing so much on This Dream Is Over, but telling the story of, what's popular and the strength of it, because everybody's voting on, either side of that binary every week, right? So again, Little Guitars, you can see the relative strengths. And this is where it gets interesting, guys. And this is why I was saying before that I don't know that the gap is going to get close with what you've got left. Given now, I take it, Mark, you're absolutely right. There are some of Sammy's best songs have yet to come. Dave still has some of his best songs that have yet to come too, right? So here's the deal.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Right? That's the truth too. So take a look at this though. Sammy's first song doesn't show up until number 24 at this point on everything you guys have done. Okay, so that's why I'm saying there's a really wide spread. And look at these numbers. Dave is consistently in the 90s to the high 80s, right? I mean, look at that. And his lows are not as low, again, as the others. So this is what, we won't spend so much time today going into it, but this is what this shows. This, again, now looking at it, the same kind of argument by musical style, the strength, again, of the highs of one guy versus the highs of the other. Look at this. For boogies, Dave's highs are at, it's 98% for, Take Your Whiskey Home. Sammy, what's in here? Get Up. And that's like, 77, it came in at 77%, right? So again, it's just like when you start looking at the filter and you start messing around, especially where there's heavy crossover, right? So because that's the other thing that this pointed out, doing this categorization showed that Dave was actually more diverse. He did a lot more musical styles than Sammy has, right? And that's just, straight up truth. But again, look at it. Now, here's the gap closed a little bit. And this is where Sammy's obviously got a strength, right? Pop metal. Sammy's top of the pops at this point. Why can't this be love at 87.9 versus Dave, Feel Your Love Tonight at 93.5 with what we've called pop metal, right? So again, this is where the kind of nuance comes in. It's like, what do we expect of these singers, right? Are they doing their job, bringing what they're supposed to? They clearly not cut out to do the blues, that kind of thing, right? This is what that kind of stuff shows. So that'll be interesting as, again, we get a complete body of work. That'll be great when this is all said and done. This one is just another take on your up-down voting, guys, so you can spend time arguing about that all day, but you're pretty closely aligned, and again, that's what those shapes were showing. These were just some funky graphs I threw out here to show the highs and the lows by artists and try and make something that looked like a Frankie, in terms of
I see what you did there.
Kind of a Frankenstrat, and then I had a bunch of stripes. So this is really just kind of a distribution to show relative to the center line, how closely distributed songs are relative to their beats per minute, which I thought was an interesting angle. Trying to understand, was there a correlation between the speed of a song and its relative popularity? There is a slight correlation, but that's the only one, and it's very slight. More to the point, where songs were released as singles, actually showing more popularity. And I think that's just because there's more of an imprint, right, in people's minds. But that's pretty cool. And then anyway, this is just a summary of the songs left to go by album, and you can filter it if you select Dave up here, goes to all Dave songs here. You can check out those distributions, and then you can see what we have left. The filter came off. There we go. And that's just Dave stuff there. Gary, we got 2 songs, Josefina and The One I Want. So anyway, those are your 2 Chazalytic products, guys, and we'll keep those updated, and you've got the links to them. And it's been a real pleasure to deep dive in your data, man. To be able to have worlds collide, for me, just doesn't get any better.
Well, we appreciate your work, man, and that's obviously you put a lot of time and effort into this, and we just want it to be said that we are appreciative of the time and effort, because those are very interesting numbers. But I'll be honest, it's discouraging on my part, just because it's like, wow, yeah, you guys, it doesn't matter how good the song is on Sammy's side. So many of you out there are just gonna downvote it because it's Sammy, and the stats have spoken. Thanks to Chaz. So
pretty much, sir. But now again,
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Well, listen, there's another visualization I'm doing. I'm not done yet, but wait, there's more. So there's more to come. This is an iterative process as we do these things. So
sure.
Again,
yeah.
I wanted to encourage, because our patrons have been participating with us as people get ideas for, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could see, or as we were seeing in some of the chat here, I wasn't following as closely, but I saw some people throwing out questions. We can answer them. So contact me through Twitter, or we can talk at the end about how to get a hold of me or get me, through you guys. So Mark, to your point, there's a horse race here. And so at this point, right, again, there are some really strong horses coming up out of both camps. So, and actually Gary's got one more, I think, strong one coming. But anyway, I'll put that aside. Where the real battle is, there's going to be a war. So I'm going to have another cool visualization that'll kind of help you get to that place where you can understand, no, you know what? This is it's a race. And it's a marathon, man, at this point, right?
It is a marathon. It's I don't have high hopes for one person in particular, and then the other guy is just dead in the water. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
There's a fight here.
As you said, it's far from over. We've still got quite a few songs to go through left in the catalog. Not as many as you might have thought, but we still got a few. So you never know how the voting is going to go. But yeah, that once again, thank you, Chaz, for that, man. That's
my
good
pleasure,
stuff.
guys.
So if you guys listening in didn't see that, after this episode is airing, please go to our YouTube, check that out, look at the visuals that Chaz came up with, and you can get a better idea of what we're looking at in terms of the stats for the show. So once again, thank you so much, Chaz, for that. Should we just jump right into some quick news for you, Corey?
Head on over to the vhnd.com. Lots of great articles on there, including a clip of Mammoth WVH performing on the Today Show. They did the songs I'm All Right and Waiting. I'm All Right is maybe my favorite track off the new Mammoth album. It's absolutely
real
fantastic.
Good.
Hell yeah.
Really great. So go check that out. I know one of our newest patrons, Janice, she mentioned that Mammoth was going to be on the Today Show, so I'm glad I get to watch these because I'm not getting up that early in the morning, not even for Wolfie. I'm sorry.
That's what YouTube's for.
That's right.
There you go.
Glenn Hughes fronted Van Halen. Hughes says it almost happened. That's right. Check that out on the Van Halen news desk. Wolfgang also names his favorite Eddie Van Halen guitar solo. And Mark, I'm assuming you haven't read this article yet. Do you know what song he picked?
I have not read the article. I'm going to say he picked the one from When It's Love.
How about the one from the most manifested song from you in the history of this show?
Humans Being?
Amsterdam.
Oh, Amsterdam. Oh.
Amsterdam is Wolfie's favorite.
Technically, that's a proxy vote, but yeah, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the fourth episode of the Van Halen 1984 documentary dropped. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I can't wait. They've just been knocking it out of the park. The tapes archive on YouTube. Go check that out. The link is also on the Van Halen news desk. And I know he's had all sorts of issues with rights and everything. I just really applaud him for going through and finishing off the documentary because he's doing a fantastic job. But let's get to the big news. Dropped today. The Van Hagar era is getting a remastered re-release coming this October. The box set of all the Sammy Hagar albums will be coming, along with a disc of what they call rarities, even though there's nothing rare about them because it's the 3 tracks from Best of Both Worlds. It's Humans Being, it's Respect the Wind, it's Crossing Over, which we did on this show. So really not a lot of rarities
Respect
in
the
there.
Wind. Oh.
Yeah, Respect the Wind will be. Actually, there was a lost song from the Twister soundtrack that Sammy was hinting could be a part of this compilation, but it's not. So that was a big disappointment. However, we are getting remastered versions of 5150, OU812, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, and Balance. And the big question on our Discord server all day was, well, 2 of those albums for sure definitely don't need much of a remastering because they already sound fucking phenomenal, and that's For Unlawful and Balance. OU812 and 5150,
However,
we always kind of talked about the mix a little bit. Could use maybe more of a remixing in some of those instances as opposed to a remaster, but either way, it's going to be the best these albums have ever sounded. Coming out this October, even though Canadian Amazon is listing the release date for the vinyl version as September 22nd, which is the day before my anniversary. So I was definitely hinting pretty hard at the wife that this would make a great anniversary present.
I'm willing to bet that the albums that don't need to be tampered with too much, they're not going to touch. They're not going to, they might touch it just a tad, but I mean, like, the consensus has been around for years at this point, which ones need the remixing, the remastering, and the ones that don't. And as you said, so please leave the fuck album alone. It sounds great. If anything, I guess make it louder. Sure, just make it louder. I guess that's it.
Well, and Kevin has a great point. It also means you get to buy For Unlawful and Balance on vinyl without a second mortgage, which as someone who paid multiple hundreds of dollars for both of those records, I'm a little pissed off right now, but I totally get it.
I mean, it's not funny, but it is. But I mean, like, see, this is the collector's dilemma. This is exactly why I have to not do that. As much as I love physical media, and I still have, like, every once in a while, I'll collect a really cool steel book of Blu-rays because I like physical media. But that is a slippery slope. I commend all of you guys out there that are collectors, near and far, because it's a commitment, and when you're really committed to it, you better hope it doesn't break your bank account while you're at it. But nevertheless, looking forward to those remasterings. That's going to be really, really killer. Moving along. Let's just go right into the last week. We discussed the track 1 Foot Out the Door. And we got an overwhelming response, which was an 85.5% What Dreams Are Made Of versus a 14.5% The Dream Is Over. I kind of anticipated this one was going to get in the kind of the thumbs up realm because it's rare, unless it's a Van Halen 3 song or just a Up for Breakfast, then chances are people aren't going to vote down too hard. But so there we are. We say I'm just going to jump into our tweets from the poll from our patrons. That's right. If you want to get your tweet guaranteed read, and we had a lot of tweets on this one, you want it guaranteed read, join our Patreon. It's as simple as that, and we will read it on the show. We'll find a tier that's right for you if you don't see one. Sean Geek and Fast Fret Podcast, that's our buddy Sean McGinnity, says, I literally don't care what anyone votes. This is one of my favorite Van Halen songs of all time, period. Is it weird? Fuck yeah. Does it have a kicking guitar solo? Of course. Is this Eddie in pure coked out of his mind brilliance? Yes. So you heard it here, folks. Sean McGinnity condones drug use as long as it makes the rock and roll sound that much harder. So thank you, Sean. Kevin Brown, and he's in the chat so he can defend himself if need be. He goes, nah, not for me. Just a last-minute filler track by the sound of it. There's nothing wrong with it per se, but it stands out as the weakest track on the album by a fair distance for me. Could have been interesting had they worked up the idea fully. So there you go. And there's a lot of people that commented on that particular tweet as well that let's just say didn't agree with Kevin, but there you are. Ryan Powell says, I am known for never downvoting a Van Halen song. When considering One Foot Out the Door and the Dark Synth Prelude, which are a combined 0 to 9 so far in my bracket, I have to consider that this is not a song so much as an intense bookend to their most intense album. He goes on to say, while essentially a song fragment when viewed on its own, and consequently does not compare well against other songs in the Van Halen catalog, in the context of the masterpiece of Fair Warning, it holds up amazingly well. That's a mouthful. He goes on its own, it's frustrating that it fades out just as Eddie is getting going, but it's perfect that it fades out the solo to end the album the way Mean Street's intro solo fades into to begin it. It's a conclusion of the intensity that started with Mean Street and makes a great closing counterpoint to that amazing introduction. Ultimately, even at 0 to 9, my streak remains intact. # what dreams are made of. So a lot to say for Ryan to go, yeah, it's an intense bookend. It's not so much a song. I assume he means, he said what dreams are made of, so he had to give it the thumbs up. But I feel like he was stretching in that explanation, but maybe not. Maybe you can explain yourself in the chat there, Ryan. But Rava Flav says, I tend to skip over the intro and then onto One Foot Out the Door. I never skip it. Agreed. A filler song that sounds rushed to completion and rushed to production, and Ed Solo saves it, except I think this is a great swinger. An homage to Dave's idol, Jim Dandy Mangrum. So Rava Flav, yeah, there you go. He's got a new perspective on it. Scott Monroe says, this is a weird two-headed Frankenstein's monster that feels like an appropriate closer for the album. My What Dreams Are Made Of vote, however, is mainly based on nostalgia. In high school, we had an English class project that had something to do with famous literary figures. My group made a video with a camcorder. It opened with 2 minutes of a classmate portraying Henry David Thoreau wearing a yellow hooded raincoat because it was drizzling outside. That just sounds like Georgie from It. But he says he strolled through a yard, stroking his chin, ponderously observing trees and birds and stuff.
We all float down here, Georgie.
That's what he said.
And guess what I dubbed over as the soundtrack to Thoreau's Stroll? That's right, Sunday Afternoon in the Park. It got laughs during class presentation day. The plotting synth is what I'm here for, while the half-baked song that comes after is fine as an album outro. I get it. I completely get it on that one. I'm not gonna fight you too hard on it, so. Our friend Josh, Fat Man on Guitar, says, I saw Van Halen perform Sunday Afternoon on the Fair Warning tour. One cool thing, the way the synth kind of pings along with the big drum hits was from Eddie pounding on it. Analog synth could do some weird things that digital can't, and this one is what dreams are made of. Cool stuff there. I'm envious because I never got to see any of Van Halen live, so that's another story. Scott Everett says, probably the most fitting way to wrap up Fair Warning. A crazy synth line with Ed blowing minds with that guitar solo. My only complaint is that it isn't longer. So there's another pro. There we go. Let's see. Greg Zito says, incredible guitar solo over a mediocre track. You can tell this was rushed. I have to agree with Mark. The dream is over. Yay! Finally, somebody willing to admit it. This is fine. And it's not like I absolutely hated the song. I mean, I went into it. I went into my reasons why, so it is what it is. Our buddy Tarm Armbruster, and he's in the chat as well, said, if that ride out solo was any less gonzo, it might have been over. Could it be what bad dreams are made of? So, are you calling this song a nightmare, Tom? Explain yourself. You're in the chat. In my head canon, he's calling this song a nightmare. So, there you go. All right. Moving forward. New to the patron, Janice. Our friend Janice says, no, I don't want this to end. I love the podcast. So, she is reacting to something we said on the show, as opposed to actually voting how she feels about the song. Janice, please let us know how you felt about this particular track if you did vote for it. Jeff Brewer says, I almost always skipped both of these since the 80s. Not a big fan of Ed's synth tunes, except maybe Jump. The instrumental is unspectacular, and the synth line in One Foot Out the Door is just there. Corey's right, though, about Ed's great solo saving the song, so upvote. I don't agree with you about the synth. I think synth is awesome. Synth is life, and get yourself checked on that, Jeff Brewer. Nevertheless, I respect your opinion. And then finally, we got some asshole named Chaz Mataz saying, Drunken Rager, this is the dangerous Van Halen Dave's father warned you about. In your face, and we don't give a fuck. Total filler, still killer. Ooh, he's a poet, this Chaz Mataz.
Man, this song, you know what? It's so friggin' bad. It is classic. It is hardcore. And that's why it's my dream. Because Van Halen could do whatever the hell they wanted by this point with this audience. And they were like, hell yeah, it was us, right? So, yeah, I can remember this coming on at a party and like the girls like, what the fuck? And we're all like, ha, 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 ha.
Like, you don't get it. It's
time to hit the road. You know, I mean, oh, yeah, you know. God, yes, the memories. This one is just, yeah, talk about a closer, bring the house down. Yeah, it's so bad, it's great.
That is a that is an opinion. That is a perspective, and I respect it. But there it is. Jeff, I know you're not a fan of the synth tunes, Jeff, but I don't know.
Yeah. And Tom says Sunday is dark and heavy like a nightmare, so there you go.
Like a nightmare, yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much. Again, if you want your tweets, and we had a lot, if you want your tweets guaranteed read, join the Patreon. So, Corey, I think it's time to get to our favorite segment, don't you think?
Oh, should we manifest something here tonight? I know the manifestations on the Discord have been busy.
Mm-hmm. It has been, yeah. I don't have the Discord pulled up at the moment. Let me...
I got it. Don't worry.
Oh, you got it? Okay, cool.
Yep. So Chaz kind of, was a little controversial today when saying how much he hates humans being.
Yeah.
And went into detail why because as part of that Van Hagar remaster, digitally they released Humans Being Remastered, which... again, I think it was Ryan listened to both back to back for quite a bit, and he noticed a small difference, but not a big one. But then Chaz went off on why he hated that great song, and then he went and manifested Spanked and said that was a better song than Humans Being. To at which point I'm going to institute drug testing on the show because you got to be on something, dude.
Yeah, I just think now I'm questioning these analytics you put together because
man,
I don't know. Those Dave markings were just a little bit too high. Like, you outed yourself by dissing Humans Being so hard. How dare you?
All right, don't come down here and test the footballs for air either. So no, here's the deal.
Are you?
You know what?
Was that a shot against the Patriots?
I think so.
Shots against the Patriots? Now? Are we doing that? Oh, you don't want to go down that road.
This is all above board, man. Look, that song sucks straight up. Humans being, come on.
Oh, I thought you meant spanked.
Oh,
Spanked, come on, man. Spanked. You know as well as I do, and every other man listening to this show, and you know exactly what they're talking about in that song, and you're embarrassed. That's why you're so damn ashamed of the song.
I have never called up anybody on the spanked line.
Come on, 1-900 spanked. Come on.
Jeez.
I lived in New York. I sold magazines. Those numbers were everywhere. I had friends who almost put their parents in through bankruptcy because of their phone bill. Come
You're
on,
really showing
man.
your age now.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I was just like,
Right. That's when you had to have purpose.
We have some listeners that go like, "Did he say magazines? What is that?"
Magazines and telephones that had cords, right? That you had to take
landline telephone.
Right. Take it into the next room, sit behind the door. I mean, think about it. You had to be committed to those lines, man. Yeah. You really
Scott's
didn't
thinking.
want it.
Yeah, Scott.
Scott says maybe you're spending a little too much time on those spanked lines.
Well, you know, again, you know, chapter 11 will take care of all that.
Yeah, I agree with Jeff. Spanked's not that bad. Like it can't be because the fuck album is phenomenal. So when we get to it, I can't wait to really dive into Corey's brain about his distaste for Spanked. But
I want you to pay me when you do Spanked. It's got to be an event. We have to be all hands on deck. If that comes on,
I'm hoping for a live show at that point. Chaz is manifesting Spanked, and then Jeff Brewer's manifesting Atomic Punk. Kevin Brown with Take Me Back because he wants to get back to some balance. We do need more balance songs.
Take Me Back.
Tom, of course, Humans Being. Scott Everett, Humans Being as well. Jeff Brewer, he's just like, you know what? He's just talking about the remaster. But yeah. So a lot of Humans Being talk and some Spanked. And then, of course, we're going to manifest our own for tonight. So I'm just going to throw it to you, Corey. What among all of these songs and among the ones we have left, and there's not many, but there's still a fair few. What will it be tonight that you really just want to dive into?
Fuck you, Chaz. Let's have Humans Being. That's what I'm voting for.
I'll give you the play-by-play.
There you go.
Perfect.
Stuck in the blow.
Now, Chaz, you said in the Discord you were going to manifest Spanked. Is that what you still want to manifest that?
I am standing hard on Spanked.
He's standing hard. That's right. Hard on Spanked. Well, we should be so lucky. Yeah. No, well, actually, you said it. I'm just reiterating.
There you go.
So,
all right.
But here's the thing, and this is not a bit, and I'm not trying to be funny. But the lady and I did just happen to watch Twister the other night, and of course it just revitalized the fact that, oh my God, we still have not done Humans Being, and I fucking want to talk about that song so bad. So I too am going to manifest Humans Being. There's a lot of us manifesting it now. So maybe with the power of all of that manifestation, we can finally spin Amsterdam. So with that being said, Chaz, if you're ready, Corey, if you're ready, and get Sammy warmed up backstage, how many times do you think we should prime this thing?
Well, you know what? We got 6 people currently lurking, so I'm going to shuffle it 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Well, here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, instead we're going to get So This Is Love from Fair Warning.
So This Is Love, and no, we're not talking about the Cinderella song. We're talking about Fair Warnings.
Yes.
So This Is Love. So, hey, all you pro Dave people, here you go. One more for you. Man.
Oh, and you know what? This is actually the last song we have to cover off of Fair Warning. We finished our first album.
Whoa!
Oh my God!
Hey,
who had Fair Warning on the bingo card of which one we would finish first? Because I guarantee you, none of you had Fair Warning. I certainly.
You know what that
didn't.
means, Mark? We were thinking about what should we do for a live show in August. We have our August live show. We're going to rank Fair Warning with all of our patrons coming up some weekend here in August.
Wow, what a journey! And Fair Warning. So,
oh yeah, damn. Sure.
Before we started the show, Fair Warning was one of the Van Halen albums that didn't get a lot of rotation in my sort of personal listenings to. Obviously, the songs that I liked, wanted to, I liked and was ready to talk about them. But the album as a whole, I don't think I ever gave it from start to finish a full listen. So diving into, there you go. Chaz has got the album in its record vinyl format. And did you buy that when it was released, or is that just a find later?
So that's a find from my daughter as of this last year. But yes, I had it when it came out, and it was totally destroyed by the time that disappeared. At some point, yes.
It happens.
At the before-mentioned parties, yes.
That's the look. Like I'm a firm believer in physical media, kids, but that's the price you pay. Is that when you use said physical media very often and a lot, it's going to wear and tear, and eventually you're going to have to replace said physical media. So, but keep it alive. Keep it alive. I'm talking about your movies, your music, everything. Just keep it alive. But yeah, Fair Warning. Really. Any full discussion, any sort of real thought I've given it has been because of this show. So it's cool. It's cool that this is gonna be the first full album that we have finished in this journey, because I could have sworn it was gonna be Van Halen 3, and I was kind of hoping it was gonna be Van Halen 3, but here we are. We finished Fair Warning first.
Well, will Chaz take our rankings and make them into pretty graphics? Here's hoping.
Yeah, man.
He likes making graphs, so hey, there you go. Just
and
get
Tom
on
is
him
already
about
calling
the charts.
that. Yeah, he's saying there's already a spot in the song that's going to make me mad. Okay.
All right. So full disclosure, I don't have much of a history with this particular song, so I'm going to go into this pretty damn fresh. So whatever happens, happens.
Does anyone on the call or in the chat know what this song was originally titled?
Oh,
I do not.
No.
Well, it was actually Poison used the same title for one of their albums, with the wrong parentheses. They had a different parentheses, but it's they named one of their albums this title that was originally this album here. Tom says he doesn't. Everyone on the call looks a little confused.
Open up and say ah.
Nope. Flesh and Blood.
Oh,
Flesh and Blood. Okay.
Yeah, and then in parentheses, banana oil.
All right.
Okay. Yep. That was Dave, right? That was Roth. That was probably Roth.
Yeah, definitely Roth. And yeah,
that meant something.
Definitely.
Flesh and Blood. That's right.
Flesh and Blood.
There's probably a cartoon or some kind of doodle that goes along with it. Yes.
And actually, if you go in the Van Halen news desk, they actually show the original handwritten lyrics from 1981, and it's Flesh and Blood and then banana oil.
Really?
Yep. And now Kevin is hungry for Flish, because that was the typo. Scott was typing so fast he thought he was going to win something.
Flesh and Blood.
Flesh and Blood.
Kevin wants a Flish
T-shirt. It's a T-shirt. Flesh and Blood.
Flesh and Blood. Oh, make that shirt, please.
All right, should we just get into it then?
You guys are ready? Let's dive in.
All right, this is one of the singles from 1981's Fair Warning. This is So This Is Love.
Oh, yeah. Check me out on the good side here. When my baby's on the corner and she's looking so fine, put one and one together and it blow my mind. Man needs love to live. I'm the living proof. Catch that smiling eye at the roof. Big double take, but you keep on walking. I'm in love. Once over, I'm overdone. This is love.
All right, there's the part that Tom was talking about that makes him so mad. They fade the bass line.
Yeah. I noticed that too. I was going like, wait, what's it? It almost sounded like the song was coming to an end as you began it. And I was like, wait, what the hell is happening?
God, what year did this come out? I mean, it's been that long. Every damn time this song comes 81. On, I'm like, come on, what? Why did they do that? I mean, it drives me insane.
Yeah. Don't know why. I don't know.
But now, Mark, These lyrics, Mark.
Sure, let's talk about them.
Come on. What do you think? Leading up to, even through. So this is love. Come on. Need your lovin'. Come on, baby. Take me home.
Evidently, and I don't know if this was true in his personal life, but I've noticed a pattern in a lot of his lyrics that Dave was fond about singing about ladies of the evening, let's just say. Because, my baby's on the corner and she's looking so fine. Like, yeah, a man needs love to live. I'm the living proof. Yeah. I was like, okay, so, look, I'm not here to kink shame. And if you gotta, pay for entertainment, then go ahead and pay for it. But, I'm noticing a pattern with a lot of Dave's lyrics. And look, you may not enjoy Sammy's alien space talk, but he's not talking about hookers all the time.
This is poetry, though. Come on,
poetry, really?
Come on,
poetry. Okay.
The way he delivers this, the swagger, this is just so classic. This is exactly what you expect from the best of Van Halen.
I feel like a lot of that swagger is coming from the fact of the swing and the music, though.
Right?
It's quite easy to sound pretty damn cool when the music is already sounding pretty damn cool, and all you got to do is follow.
Catch me on my good side. Yeah.
If you can follow and keep up, then it doesn't matter. You could be literally scatting nonsense like Dave does sometimes, and people will be like, "That's the coolest shit ever." You know what I mean?
A man needs love to live, and I'm living proof. Come on, man. He's there.
Yeah.
He's like, come on, ladies. Yeah.
Exactly.
To me, these are some of his most brilliant lyrics, actually. The way he just tells this story. It just unfolds. I love this one.
He does have a way with words to paint a portrait, that's for sure. So even if his and I've conceded that notion, even if he is painting you a portrait that's not so glamorous looking, it's still a portrait, and it's still pretty perfectly manifested in your brain. He's good about doing that. That's true. I give I give Dave all the props in the world for that.
All right.
Yeah, and Tom, we have that common ground now on the bass line. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then Kevin pointed out what I think of as Dave's horny 15-year-old lyrics.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep rocking.
Your loving, come on, baby, take me home. Oh, I need your loving. I'm just getting bold. Going out my way, know my way around. The grass is no greener, and there's plenty around. All the other girls, they be put to shame. Over the edge, and here I stay. Got me on pins and needles, and she knows she's mine, and he let go. This is mine. Ooh, I need your love.
That snare, come on, the Brown sound, this song, guys, yeah. Ooh, doesn't get better than that when you're trying to describe what does Van Halen sound like. Come on.
It's got that great, It's got that great blues swing to it too. It's like ZZ Top-esque in a way. How ZZ Top blues and native party music, right? This is kind of that influence.
Yeah, was absolutely going to say Billy Gibbons definitely coming through on this one, and that's something that, quite honestly, your show really got me to appreciate how big a fan he was of Billy Gibbons. And I'd always kind of known it because I'd seen some stuff, but really, as you guys listen, yeah, man, and people pointed out, Billy Gibbons was all over it, the first 6 records. Yeah.
100%.
When you can hear the bass, there's a lot of cool shit that that Michael is doing, and the bass, the low end does come up a lot more as the song has progressed. So and shout out to Alex as well. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff happening in the rhythm section, and I guess it really has to, because they're the ones keeping the song alive. Because it's a swing style. So like that's all rhythm. That's all, your percussive sort of instruments keeping the flow. Not to take away anything from Eddie's guitar playing, but right now his guitar playing is not really at the centerfold.
No, and when you play this song, I mean, I play this one with my band. We mess around with it, and you're doing the finger picking, and you're kind of getting that feel, and you're kind of pulling the strings out, and then when you get into that swing, man, the song just rocks, and your singer really needs to be in the feel of it, right? This is a song that is all about the feel when it comes to what he's delivering. Yeah, it's the swagger. It's just like, this is, again, just kind of classic like statement of what this band represented.
Yep. Tom in the chat brought up a cool quote from Wolfie where he said when he joined the band, he didn't want to do a bass solo. He said, "I've got the opening of So This Is Love, so I'm good."
And that's it, right? I mean, people give Mike so much crap for Mike, but my God, I mean, his playing is phenomenal. I mean, it has always been. Yeah.
100%. All right, let's keep her going. All right, so interesting tidbit about that solo is it's actually a compilation of about 4 solos put together by Ed and apparently recorded on the first attempt.
Oh, my God.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Oh,
totally. Yeah, I mean, I play my version of that, which is nothing like his. I can't do any of that rolling that he does in the middle part there. He's just kind of rolling over the fretboard, right? I mean, I can't even describe what he's doing there. But melodically, when you play this song, it's just so much fun, man. It just, like, the way it bounces around, it's got just, such a great feel. And if you're just kind of keeping it within the feel of it and throwing, a few boomer bends and some taps in between, like, in a cover band these days, you don't have people out there like, you didn't play, and you don't have, those guys. They don't come to my shows, so I can get away with it. But I honestly,
they come to my shows sometimes.
Well, yeah, you play some more sophisticated music, I think, than what my set list is comprised of. But that technical playing in this solo, I mean, to me, this is one of his most pristine solos. In fact. That's that section right there, that whole, I mean, it's just, my God, if you've tried to play that note for note, you know what I mean. It's insane.
Yeah.
I found a cool quote here from Guitar World, talking to Eddie, where he said, "I definitely had a lot of pissed off energy in me that I got out on Fair Warning. It does have kind of a dark underlying tone to it. So why is this tasty piece of ear candy the only Van Halen song that can legitimately be called jaunty? Credit Michael Anthony. The strutter positive bounces on the bass line, flowing into a smooth groove that finds the band thoroughly in the moment."
You're damn right.
Yeah, man, totally.
Hear it.
Yep.
All right, let's keep her going.
Yes, she knows she's mine and he let it go. This is love. I need your love. This is love. I need your love.
I had to pause it there because Kevin pointed out that whip, crack, snare.
Yes.
And you really hear it on that run there.
Yep. All day long, Kevin.
It's funny, in the chat, Tom is talking about, that sweet solo, good spark, and then Jeff is like, yeah, that slippery part of the solo is a pain in the butt to recreate. Kind of gave up years ago.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was saying, Jeff. Exactly what I was saying.
It's
no
not,
way.
I mean, it's not a testament to your guitar playing. It's a testament to Eddie's,
His fingers, just the way he can move.
Don't try to, he is often, attempted to be replicated, but it's never duplicated. It's like it's imitated, rather, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
But even so, I guess to all guitar players, just know your lane and don't try, because like
Exactly right, yeah.
just don't, because like you're never gonna get the exact tone Eddie had, because you don't play like he does. Like nobody plays like that, and he just had tone of the gods in his hands. And there's a lot of guitar. There's select few guitar players out there that have that, and you can attempt it, you can learn it note for note all you want, but it's not gonna have the same feel because you're not the person playing it. So don't let that discourage you. That's all I'm saying, because like it's Eddie Van Halen. What are you gonna do?
Right. There's a couple, like, to that point, right? There's a couple of guys that can hit an A chord and you know exactly who it is. Like Eddie Van Halen can hit an A chord, you know it's Eddie. Brian May can hit an A chord, you know it's Brian May, right? There are those that can kind of take that, like you said, it's in the fingers, and it's just, there. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's keep going. All right.
There you go.
So this is love.
So there it was, from Fair Warning, and that wraps up the Fair Warning album on this show. It's the first album we have wrapped up, you guys. Holy crap. Amazing. I didn't think eventually, of course, logistically, we would get to the end of an album. But again, didn't think it was going to be Fair Warning. So there you go, you guys. And now we just have to review it. So stay tuned for the announcement of a live show in which we will do as such. But until that time, it's time to vote on So This Is Love and how we felt about it. Chaz Mataz, you are the guest for the evening, and you are the analytical expert / all these other adjectives. But what I want to know, analytics be damned, I want you to think with your heart, not with numbers. Is So This Is Love what dreams are made of, or is the dream over?
Wow. So you want me to put all of my analytic training aside, all of the work that I do to make people data-driven so they can be insight-driven. You want me to go with intuition?
Yep.
You want me to read the tea leaves? Okay, I'm reading the tea leaves. Yeah, I don't know if I telegraphed too much during the song there, but God, I mean, this one is just, for me, like you guys have seen, and as we're seeing now in the numbers, the strength of the songs on Fair Warning, all of them. What dreams are made of, every single one of them. It's the way you guys have both voted every single track on this album, well, except for One Foot Out the Door, right? So other than that one mulligan there, this is actually, just definitive of who this band was, what they meant to the partying people of the 80s when we were living it, man. This song was this song was really much was it. This is love. This is what we need. This is what we were all in it for, man. We picked up guitars. Why? We wanted to be with the girls. We wanted them to look at us. We wanted to, the cool guys to envy us and the chicks to date us. So, it's what it was all about. And shit. The other theme that you kind of pointed out in Dave's songs, right? It's that idea that I think, too, prostitutes. He's into sugar mamas, too. And women that will finance his lifestyle. I love that one line, pay my bills, and he meant that. I love the way he kind of laughs afterward, right? That's the real deal. And this song is all a part of that. This was just that golden era. So, There's my bias on full display.
To end fair warning, there you have it. Chaz votes yay to the shocker of no one. But the real shocker is yet to come, perhaps, maybe, I don't know, because I got to ask my podcasting partner, Corey, do you think So This Is Love, the end of fair warning, it's the end of an era, so to speak, the first bit, end of an era, as far as the show goes, is So This Is Love what dreams are made of, or is the dream over?
I'm a clean sweep on fair warning. I've upvoted every single song, and I don't feel bad about it. If it helps, I probably would have downvoted Sunday Afternoon in the Park if it would have counted, but it doesn't. It's an instrumental.
No.
It's okay. But it's certainly probably my least favorite thing on fair warning. And actually, So This Is Love, probably my third favorite track on this record. I know we're not ranking them yet, but you know, there's a combination of Unchained, Mean Streets, Hear About It Later, and So This Is Love that I kind of mix around in my top 4. So I haven't done my final rankings yet, but this has always been one of my favorite tracks on fair warning. I absolutely love this track. I love that bluesy swing to it. Dave is singing the fuck out of it. Kevin mentioned the snare, like the drums on this sound great. Love the bass. That guitar solo is fire. Love the outro on it. That I love it when it's not actually a fade out. It's like that down, ban out. Give us a little something.
Yes.
It was just a cool, punchy way to end the song, and then this would lead into Sunday Afternoon in the Park. Talk about weird sequencing. You go from something fun like that to the horror movie vibe of Sunday Afternoon in the Park is kind of interesting. But this is absolutely what dreams are made of for me. Mark and Meyer, that leaves it up to you. You're not perfect. Upvotes on fair warning. You downvoted 1 foot out the door. Are you going to make it 2 on this record? Is this what dreams are made of, or is the dream over?
Not that I wanted to end the first full album on the show on a downer, because I would have, and I was very close to. However, there were a lot of factors in this song that really sell the upvote. You know what I mean? Just getting it out of the way, Eddie Solo, and this is not the first time where I've thought the song was just kind of okay, but then Eddie Solo comes in and go, well, he saved it, so that's an automatic upvote for me. This is not the first time. It's happened several times in the show. Sometimes I've admitted it, and then sometimes it's just kind of been in my brain, like, well, if not for that solo. This is one of those where I was kind of feeling a bit kind of meh about it. Not to say that everything that the boys are doing isn't good, because it is. But I was just like, how often am I really going to find myself going back to it, revisiting it, and feeling good about that decision? That's the thing. Those are the kinds of things I think about when I decide to upvote or downvote a track, is replayability. I'm big on that. Like, if I can't go back to it and still feel something, then chances are that it's going to get a downvote. This one, however, was very, very close. But that solo saved it. I really love what the rhythm section is doing. I mean, is it that classic Van Halen swing style? Yes. Does that get old? Not really. Sometimes that depends on how it's treated vocally, how it's treated lyrically. And I'm a sucker for that, being a vocalist myself, so I'm gonna have a bias. However, as much as I want to poke fun at the lyrics for that one, or for this song in particular, and I can and I will, but at the same time, does it fit the narrative of the structure of the song? Yes, it does. And is the song adequate? Yes, it's more than adequate, actually. It rocks, it rips, and that solo just adds to it. So for that being said, for all those reasons, although it's not a huge thumbs up, it is still a thumbs up. It is still what dreams are made of. So there you go. Full clean sweep. We have done fair warning. It is in the books. So, yeah. But we can't leave it alone yet, because now Corey wants to play his favorite game. How many times did they play this song live? How many times did they play So This Is Love?
So This Is Love.
All right. Because Chaz did all the work on the analytics, let's go with you, Mark. For stealing my fucking bit as the game show host and ruining my night, we're going to start with you. Mark and Meyer, how many times did Van Halen perform So This Is Love?
Well, I'll bring back your. I'm sorry I ruined your night, but I'll bring it back to you because I'm gonna guess very horribly. So This Is Love. I think they probably played this thing maybe 80 times.
80 times. All right. Chaz Mataz, remember, Price is Right rules. Got to be closest to the actual number without going over. How many times do you think they performed So This Is Love?
I'm going to go a little higher on that one. I'm going to say, how about 175?
175.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chaz Mataz, you went over. It was actually 159 times.
Damn.
Wow.
First time they played it, May 12th, 1981, at the Halifax Metro Center in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Oh, man.
The last time they played it, July 3rd, 2008, at the Festival de Tête de Quebec in 2008.
Boy, Canadians love that tune, man.
I was about to say, is this like an exclusively like Canadian tune?
Take off, eh?
Eat this shit up, yeah.
You hosers are into that one, eh?
That's right, eh? We love ourselves some swingy rock, eh?
Well, it's just so upbeat and feel good, right? The only
distant relatives that are I've got Quebecers that are distant relatives, so you would think this would play to my sensibilities a little bit more, but no, not so much. Maybe it's too much of that American influence. I don't know.
My vocalist had to be sold on this one too. I don't know what it is, and then we eventually dropped it, so we're not playing it anymore because it's just one of those songs that if the feel's not there and the vocalist just isn't into it, can't embody that.
If this is a particular song that you either have this song,
you have to embody that spirit that we were talking about before.
This is a very much a Dave swagger song.
Yeah.
And if you're good at that, then you're gonna pull it off no problem. All right, case in point. Would Sammy do well with this song? I don't think so. And Sammy, I think, is a great singer, but I don't think he would have done well with this particular song because that's not his style.
He doesn't do blues well, and he doesn't do blues rock well, or as well as Dave anyway. Look at what he did on Apolitical Blues. Yeah. Like that was awful.
So I mean,
that's how you really feel.
I mean, but at least, but I mean, the thing is, like, what Sammy does well, he does real well. But he's not a perfect
100%.
singer. I'm not going to say he's a perfect singer. No. He's not. And where he does not succeed, a lot of times, at least based on our journey here, Dave does succeed. And this is a particular song that could not have been done very well without Dave. You would not have heard this in the Gary era, and if you had, you would not have liked it. I guarantee you wouldn't have, because I don't think Gary has that swing spirit within him. He might try, and he'll try his best, but I don't think it's there. Just like Sammy. Sammy could have tried, but I don't think it would have been there. I just don't think it would have felt like that. Yeah, but Tom brings up a good point. Would Dave have pulled off Apolitical Blues better?
No, that was such an oddball
I personally
song.
Don't think so. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it is an odd song. So you
can tell that one didn't come from the band, right? That came from.
Yeah. That's the worst of both worlds, if you will, on that particular thing. So you say what you will about it, but yeah, it's. But I understand your vocalist's perspective on that. And it's like, because he may not feel like he has that David Lee Roth swagger, and if he doesn't have that, if no singer has that, they are not going to pull off a song like this very well. So
right, it's like you see those guys that are doing those really intense Van Halen tribute bands where the guys dressed up and they all look like the part and all that, and that's where.
But let me put it to you this way. I live in Nashville, and I have seen the Broadway performers always, and lots of times most of them do songs that are well out of their not even vocal range, just their range of, like, this is not your lane. This is not a song you should be doing because you don't have that sensibility.
Right.
Like, do not do a Steve Perry song if you cannot hit the notes like he could hit them. Yeah. Do not do an Axl Rose song if you don't have that little bit of Axl Rose swagger. And also, why are you doing Guns N' Roses on Broadway? But and I would reiterate, do not do David Lee Roth unless you have the David Lee Roth swing and swagger. Yeah. Because that's very hard to replicate. It's there's a reason why there's a reason why we shit all over Gary's album, because sometimes it feels like that's exactly what he's trying to do. And if not Dave, he's trying to do it. He's trying to do a Sammy Hagar.
He was channeling Sammy.
Don't do any of those, dude. Like, I understand you're in Van Halen, but don't do that, because it's not coming across as authentic. It's coming across as cheap. So, and we already know, like, he's already established himself in a great band like Extreme. He's got nothing to prove. So don't do that. And to the Broadway performers, don't do that shit either. Just stop. Just know your lane. It's cool to push the limits, but know your lane. And I'm saying that to myself too. Know your lane, asshole. You're not going to see me out there singing Usher songs.
This is integrity, folks. That's it.
But never. All that to say, there you have it. Whoop.
Hey, there you go.
I was like, are we entering a new
You're gonna bring that back again? All right. I was gonna say, beautiful girls.
I see what you're doing. Why?
We just need a little something underneath during Mark's rantings.
Under my that's true. I
Where's Kevin?
Function better when there's
Kevin still here.
No,
he won't be for long.
Left the chat. Beautiful Kevin has left the chat. So.
All right.
Yeah,
lest we be sued about that, because that is one copyright suit I don't think we need to be hit with, because it's just not worth it.
I would have rather heard them like do a duet with Rihanna or something. I mean, just like, come on, what the hell was that, guys?
anything.
Seriously, right? I mean, seriously,
anything else?
I know.
Anything other than that? They could have tried a dubstep edition of a song, and I would have been like, yeah.
Oh my god! Well, somebody brought up Mark McGrath, right? So somebody brought up Sugar Ray. Somebody brought up So I heard the story of Mark McGrath. He was at least inspired by the Beatles. I don't know what the fuck inspired this thing. I mean, seriously, right? Oh my god. Yeah.
People like Mark McGrath. You can talk shit about Mark McGrath all we want, but like whatever the dude did,
songs.
Like, I mean, yeah, he and his boys in Sugar Ray did something right, because they were on top of the world for a while, you guys.
Hell yeah.
And they did it with like multiple songs from different albums. It's very strange. You can't even call them one-hit wonders, because they were not one-hit wonders. They were several hit wonders from different albums.
Yeah, man.
Very strange how that works out, but hey, look, sometimes you just know your audience, you know who to placate to. And you know who knew their audience? Van Halen knew their audience. Even when the audience wasn't sure what the hell they wanted to listen to, Van Halen's like, we got you. You're going to enjoy it. And if you don't, then you'll enjoy something, and maybe a little bit later you'll enjoy the shit that we're putting out now.
Put it out the door.
I'm hoping like the pro Rothers, anti Hagar guys will at least listen to our show, listen to some of the songs during the Hagar era, and go like, okay, that's not as bad as I originally had thought. There are some examples that are not going to help that cause, but I mean, whatever.
No, but that has helped me. To your point, I'm one of those guys, so very hardcore Roth guy, but listening to the show and Sammy as well. I mean, I've got guitar picks from the Fuck tour. I'm a big fan of Van Halen through the years, but like I was realizing last week as a result of this show and the stuff we do, looking at the analytics and stuff like that, if I'm being honest, like, about this, hardcore Eddie, fan that I am, when 5150 came out, I was really kind of taken back. I was like, oh shit, this is totally different. Oh my God, because the guitar tone was totally changed. And like the first, song was not aggressive. And like what I was saying is if they had put out Get Up as the first song, I would have been like, holy shit, the aggression is on. He's on fire. He's got something to prove. But like when they came out with the top 40 stuff, I was like, oh no. And so it took me longer to kind of get there, but I was there pretty quick. I mean, and was then a fan through the era because I was a fan of Eddie's, but I gotta say, it's just like the energy and the fire and the spunk from the first 6 records. Yeah, that was not there during that Hagar era. And I'm sorry, but Humans Being for me epitomizes everything that was the worst of that era. I mean, that solo is the god-awful worst fucking piece of shit he's ever recorded in terms of a guitar solo from Eddie Van Halen. I mean, my God, my nephew who was like, just learning guitar when he was 2 could do a better job in that stuff. But anyway. That's a song for another day.
Well, that's a take, and while I might agree with you that that solo's not Eddie's best solo, he's definitely he's not attempting the best solo ever.
Well, that was my point. That was my point. He wasn't even attempting it. None of them were. They were phoning that song in, and the Shine On, that comes out of nowhere. The lyrics to me, that song just is so disconnected, and so it was a bad period of time, in their lives and everything. It was just bad.
We'll get into that more when we actually spin Humans Being, because there's a lot to be said about it. I love that Kevin mentioned that he got Gary rolled again, but we're not gonna. No, I would say you got Sharoned, motherfucker. That's what it is. I like that.
The exact quote was, "I'd rather listen to a nun chewing her own leg off than that damn song again. I've been Gary rolled again."
Why a nun specifically? I want to know. What nun is so desperate she's gonna chew her leg off? I don't know.
But I'm telling you, whenever either yourself, Mark, or a guest goes off on a tangent, I'm playing the song as almost like the hook to get him off the stage.
That's
So basically, the next time this guy has the notion to start ranting, which is kind of what I do, and
it's been known to happen.
Get him Sharoned.
I've been known to rant or two. You're gonna Sharon me, God.
Look, and Gary deserves that. He deserves that with the connotations of being Sharoned with that song. He totally deserves that. No apology.
Well, with that being said, I think we found a new way to the next time Mariano decides to hijack the show. We know how to shut him up real quick.
That's right.
Just Sharon him real quick. It'll be fun. But, that's a story for another day. For now, though, give us a big hand to our guests and our analytical expert, Chaz Mataz, joining us on the show. Thank you so much, Chaz, for being a part of this. Thank you for your work on the graphs,
thanks,
on the charts, on everything, keeping us going. And I guess you got some new stuff, some new data to input with the completion of Fair Warning on the show. So
I do, absolutely, absolutely. So we'll keep it running and check in with you guys regularly for an update on where the horse race is at. And as new visualizations are created, I'll post it out to the Discord for the patrons, and keep it rocking, guys. But great job as always, and thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Always a pleasure having you, and always a pleasure having a supporter like yourself. So thank you so much for being a supporter of the show, not just in tweets and in poll results and coming on the show, but you're on our Patreon. So we appreciate that, as well as our other patrons on the show. So let me go through the list here. Thank you to Matt Lacoste, Nate from the Deep Purple Podcast, Rava Flav, Josh Caldwell, Greg Zito, Michael Griffith, Sean McGinnity from Meet the Geeks, Kevin Brown, Per Lineker, Scott Monroe, Ryan Powell, Jeff Brewer, Ben Adriozzi, Tom Armbruster, Scott Everett, Heath McCoy, and our newest patron, thank you so much, Janice Risco. So thank you all so much for your contributions. Thank you for your support, keeping the lights going on and the podcast will rock, and keeping us motivated, and just honestly just giving us good shit to talk about, because you guys keep the conversation really interesting. You always come up with some cool stuff in the Discord. For one, you can join the Discord if you join the Patreon, and if you guys aren't on the Patreon still, I tell you, we've got tiers that will work for you, that, whatever you can give. But if we don't have something, a particular tier that you would like, let us know. We'll make it just for you, because we're easy that way. So thank you all so much. Corey, always a pleasure. Always a fun time doing these with you. We're not done. We still got so much more. Tell the people where they can find the goings on of the show and the like-minded shows, would you?
Yes, you can find us at www.podcastlowrock.com. You can catch up on old episodes. Reach out to us on the website. I know we got a lovely message from a guy who was a roadie for Van Halen back in the 80s and told us he enjoyed the show. So thank you very much for that, sir. Yeah, that's fantastic. Get yourself some merch. Chaz is wearing a gorgeous red T-shirt with the gold Best of Volume 1 logo inspiration for the podcast will rock. Thank you very much for your support. Go get yourself some merch. I'm going to pick some up before I head off to the Kiss concert this November in Saskatoon, so that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm digging your shirt there, Corey. You got the nice.
Yes, I got the old style.
Yeah, that's nice.
the old David Lee Roth era Van Halen. That's why we spun ALR tonight. Yeah.
All right.
You can find us online. I don't know, Mark. Are we on Threads yet? Is that a thing?
We have an Instagram, but we haven't like committed to Threads yet. So
all right, well, get on that. Come on, start pulling your own weight, for fuck's sake.
I'm barely on Threads myself, so okay.
But we got Instagram, we got Facebook, we got Twitter at Podcast Will Rock. You can interact with us there. Mark, we'll leave the poll up longer, I think, this time. I think you pulled it down a little too quick this last week. We had a couple people ask, how long did you leave the poll up for? 3 days? Oh, see, I usually give them 5. So there you go. You're a little more, you're a little more hard-ass than I am. I figured we record on Wednesdays.
All right. I'll give you guys the full week this time.
You totally fucked up the stats. There you go.
Great. I'm going to have to make an annotation on the chart. Thanks a lot.
Great.
Good job, Mark.
All right. Way to go, Mark.
Look, it's not the first mistake
Mark.
Not the first mistake I've had on the show, as everyone is. Oh my God, Corey! Before you continue, I have to stop you, and I have to go back and throw in a new segment because we didn't have just one poll this week. We had 2 polls.
Yes.
You see,
well, we didn't have a poll. One of our listeners put up a poll that I saw that.
Our friend False Premise had a poll going. The podcast Will Rock poll saying, "Do you listen to each episode to celebrate the mighty Van Halen or to keep book on Mark's errors?" And we had
no.
I will say we had an astounding number of 6.3% people keep books on Mark's errors versus the 93.8 of like we celebrate the mighty Van Halen. So to those and that was out of 16 votes. So to those of you keeping books on Mark's errors, please tweet me at Mark the Bat and let me know all the ways I fucked up for today's show. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and let me know to Ridge, Chaz, Charles, and we'll build a chart and we'll put it in there. Mark's fuck ups. We'll have a nice little chart. And we can get the dates of the shows and we can show the progression over time.
Since False Premise put up that first poll, I'm just going to assume he's just going to keep it up again. So have at it, I guess.
Cool. We'll integrate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
False Premise. Reach out, man. I think we're friends. Yeah, I think we're
so there you go. So anyway, continue, Corey. I'm sorry.
My favorite Mark fuck up will always be you almost come very close to getting Tom's name wrong in the Patreon roll. I think you called him Tim one week, and you almost did it again.
Almost did it tonight, and I was like, nope, it's not Tim. It's definitely not Tim.
So False Premise. Make sure you're keeping track of those too, because it's been like half a dozen times now, I think, Mark, where you've fucked up Tom's name in some way.
I think you know why? Because when I see Tom, he just looks like an enchanter. And the enchanter from Monty Python and the Holy Grail's name is Tim.
That's right.
So that's what it is.
Oh, God.
All right. Well, you can also find us as part of the Deep Dive Podcast Network, which is slowly becoming the Corey, Kevin, Scott podcast universe, because between the 3 of us, I think we do like half the shows now on the Deep Dive Podcast Network. Let's run through them all.
Man.
Yeah. First off, we have myself and Scott Haskin do a little show called Backtracks Aerosmith Revisited. Myself and John Mariano do a show called Backtracks Theme Music, talking our favorite music in movies. Myself and Kevin Brown have just started a new show called The Ultimate Catalog Clash. Season 1 is taking a look at Phil Collins era Genesis. The first proper episode dropped this week, and I'm waiting for all my hate mail from the UK any day now, because I'm not kind to the proggy Genesis sound, and I'm sure I'm going to hear about it. Kevin Brown also does 2 fantastic shows, one being the Tom Petty Project, the other being Seaside Pod Review, a Queen podcast with his good buddy Randy Woods. Do not bug Kevin for downvoting 39, even though no one else on the planet can understand it, and I don't understand it, why he downvoted one of Brian May's greatest songs. Makes no fucking sense. But hey, Kevin, you do you, and enjoy all the hate mail you've been getting on that. He downvoted 39.
Like, how could you do that?
It's the highlight of a Queen concert when Brian gets out there with the 12 string and plays 39 and gets the crowd singing with him. It's absolutely phenomenal. Kevin's just a thief of joy. He hates everything.
I respect the fact that Kevin's just like, this one, nah.
Yeah, fuck it,
Wow.
done, out. But I think he's been hearing about it online. So I want to encourage that. Please make Kevin feel as bad as you can for downvoting 39, and Randy for downvoting
Yeah,
the Prophet
as a
song.
representative of the Brian May Guitar Company, you'll find me actually out there listed on the featured artists on their page.
Oh.
For the United States of America, Chaz Charles is there with his Red Special. But I gotta say, you're not being. Yeah, you need to revisit things. You need to reevaluate something. Something's wrong with your data. If you're finding a problem with that song, something's
Find
wrong
some
with your
joy
data.
in your life, Kevin Brown. Find some joy. Let's keep it going here. Scott Haskin has a show called Uriah Heep, the Magicians Podcast. Nate and John at the Deep Purple Podcast. The Simple Man at Skinnerd Reconsidered. Terry T-Bone Mathley at T-Bone's Prime Cuts on the Other Side. Rye at Sabbath Bloody Podcast. Paul Joan David at In the Lap of the Pods. That's a better Queen podcast. I'm sure they love 39. Andy and Matt at Hawk Binge. Eric and Jonathan at Maiden A to Z. Daniel and Josh at Diary of the Madman, the Ultimate Aussie Podcast. Ben and Sam at Universally Speaking, the Red Hot Chili Peppers Podcast. George and Hattie at the Judas Priest Cast. Clay and Rye at North by South Podcast. That's Canadian music versus American music. It's a lot of fun. Greg and Jonathan at So Far, So Pod, So What, talking all things Megadeth. Quinn at Volume for All. Sav, Nick, Steve, and Mark at the Rock Roulette Podcast. Chaz and Greg are wrapping up regarding Lulu pretty quick. That has been an interesting experiment. Chaz, maybe real quick, tell us about regarding Lulu, because I can't listen to that fucking album, so I haven't heard too much of the show.
That's why you've not responded to any of those texts.
That's right. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, radio silence, crickets. So my friend Greg and I listened to Lulu by Lou Reed and Metallica. We listened to all 10 tracks. We did it every other week for like 2.5, 3 months, or however long it took. And holy shit. So we got through the whole thing, beginning to end. When I bought it in 2011, I thought it was the worst thing I'd ever heard in my life. Worse than John Lennon, Yoko Ono, Two Virgins, worse than Metal Machine Music. I mean, worse than a lot of predecessors. So, a lot of hype because a book came out. Lou Reed was a Tai Chi practitioner, and his spouse put out a book, a Straight Line, My Journey Through Tai Chi. And in it, there were all these, reminiscences from Lars Ulrich, and, particularly about, how great Lulu was and how it stood the test of time, and then he kind of went into kind of talking about what they went through recording that record, and, what it was all about, what it meant to Lou and what it meant to them. And I was like, wow, I don't think maybe I was as fair as I needed to be in listening to this thing, because it did become Lou Reed's last work. He died shortly thereafter. So the thing that really turned me around, though, and made us do this podcast, was we had heard through the grapevine that David Bowie told Laurie Anderson, Lou's widow, that this would come to be regarded as Lou Reed's masterpiece. This is what David Bowie said to her in all, like right after the wake, right after the funeral, whatever. So really in this one of these tender moments. So we were like, wow, if Bowie's saying that, we really probably need to revisit it. So my friend Greg and I, we did it. We sat through all 10 tracks. It was brutal. I don't want to reveal the outcome because it's meant to be out there and let you all go experience the journey with us at various points. Yeah, I don't know that we'll get anybody to ever go and listen to all 10 episodes. So we've got one more to go, and we're going to sit and we're going to listen to the whole thing end to end and go through our reminiscences with some of the 3 or 4 people who did listen to us the entire way. So we're going to do it as a panel, again, kind of inspired by you guys. And that recording is coming up. And it'll be our retrospective on what the hell we did and what the hell were we thinking. And gotta say, though, like we've heard with Van Halen 3, there are those works out there by our favorite bands that require more of us as fans, right? So this is really where we kind of came from with Lou Reed. It's like, okay, and Metallica. I'm a big Metallica fan, so we'll give it a fair shake. And we did. And so the proof is out there regarding Lulu is the podcast. It's a member of the Deep Dive Podcast Network. Corey is a featured, your virtual twin, your digital twin is a constant presence on our show. But again, you guys inspired it all, and thanks. It was a wonderful journey. And you can check us out there, and you can check me out on Twitter, Ridge Chaz Charles, always interacting with these guys because this is the best podcast out there.
Well, thank you, sir. And please join the Patreon because you can talk to Chaz on the Discord channel. He's signed up here this week, so you can converse with Chaz and ask him about humans being, why he hates it so gosh darn much. But we got a few more friends I should mention here before we call it a night. Of course, Sean and Todd at the Sean Geek and Fast Red podcast. You're All Doomed, a Friday the 13th podcast. The DLR cast, the Bogus Loader Show, Pod of Thunder, the recognized symbol of excellence in rock and roll podcasting. Booked on Rock with the legendary Eric Senich. Dissect That Film. And Three's Company 2, a rewatch podcast. Mark Kameyer, I think that's it for me. Where can the folks find you, and what do you got coming up?
At Mark the Bat on Twitter and Instagram. You can yell at me personally for all the things I've done wrong and let me know when another poll comes about and like Mark is from score of 1 to 50. Where would you rank his stupidity level? 50 being the highest intelligence. So
we can come up with one of those needles and people can vote every week.
Yeah.
How about that?
And join the Patreon so that you can maybe find a way to throw a huge wrench into the analyticals that Chaz puts. So that he has to like, oh no, here we go. Let me redo this because I just think I'm an agent of chaos and sometimes chaos is funny. So there you go. Do that. You at the time of this recording, we just finished our tribute night to David Bowie in Nashville, Tennessee. So to all of you that were there, thank you guys so much for your contributions, man. Lots of fun was had. So thank you, and thank you to Corey, thank you to Chaz. On behalf of all of us here on the podcast, we are, and the podcast will rock, and we will rock you later.